You ever stop and think about how tech just kind of creeps into our lives? Especially at home, right? Sometimes the biggest shifts, the ones that really change how we experience things, happen almost silently. Well, today we're taking a deep dive into exactly that kind of quiet revolution. We're looking at the global sound bar market. It's one of those areas in home electronics that's been making a big difference, maybe without us always noticing.
Yeah, that's right. And to help us understand it, we've got some really interesting data here. It's from a report, the Global Soundbar Market Forecast to 2033. It gives us a pretty detailed look, sales figures, projections, growth rates, all across the globe.
So, our plan today is to pull out the key insights from this report. We want to help you make sense of the big trends and really see which parts of the world are turning up the volume on home audio. Some of it might actually surprise you. Okay, so let's start with the big picture, the global view. What's the overall story the market's telling us?
Well, the global numbers are quite impressive, actually. Back in 2021, the market pulled in just over $6.7 billion.
Right.
And it's projected to jump pretty significantly, hitting over $9.3 billion by 2025.
Right.
But then it really accelerates. The forecast for 2033 is over $18 billion, $18,055 million to be precise.
Wow, so more than doubling in that later period.
Exactly. And what's really key here is the growth rate behind that. Between 2025 and 2033, we're looking at a compound annual growth rate, a CAGR, of about 8.6%.
8.6% CAGR. That sounds, well, pretty solid and steady, doesn't it? Not like a short-term fad.
It really does. It points to a consistent, strong expansion. People are clearly investing more in their home audio setups.
Okay, so that's the global pulse. Now, this is where I think it gets really fascinating, the regional breakdown. How does that global growth look when you slice it up by continent? Where is the action concentrated?
Yeah, the regional rhythms are very telling. The absolute powerhouse here is the Asia-Pacific market.
Okay.
In 2021, it was already huge, over $2.5 billion. It's expected to hit nearly $3.5 billion by 2025.
And by 2033?
By 2033, it's forecasted to reach almost $7.1 billion. Just massive growth. And importantly, it also has the highest average regional CAGR, over 9.2%. So largest and fastest growing on average.
Wow, okay. Asia Pacific is clearly leading the charge then. Can you give us a bit more detail? Which countries are the main drivers within APAC?
Sure. Well, China is, as you might guess, a huge piece of that puzzle. It had nearly $1 billion in sales back in 2021, $980 million.
Right.
And it's projected to grow to almost $2.9 billion by 2033. That's a CGR of 9.6%, so really strong growth there.
Okay. What about India? We hear a lot about growth there.
India is showing what the report calls sharp growth. It started at about $455 million in 21, but it's projected to hit nearly $1.4 billion by 2033. And its CAGR is even higher than China's, actually 9.7%. Really impressive momentum.
Very interesting. Anyone else significant in APAC?
Yeah, definitely. Japan is a solid contributor, going from about $284 million to nearly $750 million by 2033. That's an 8.7% CAGR. South Korea, smaller market, $127 million up to about $291 million. Still a decent 7.7% CGR. Australia is growing too, from $68 million to $165 million, around 8.1%.
Okay.
And you've got others like Singapore, Taiwan, Southeast Asia as a whole, all showing healthy KGRs in the 8% range.
It sounds like broad growth across the region.
It is. But here's a really interesting bit, the rest of APAC category. This group of, other developing countries in the region, it's actually the fastest growing sub-region globally.
Really? Faster than India or China's rate?
In terms of KGR, yes.
Yeah.
It jumps from about $51 million in 2021 to over $203 million by 2033. That's an astonishing 11.477% CAGR. It really points to widespread adoption catching on very quickly in many diverse markets.
Fascinating. Okay, let's shift gears. What about North America? Still a huge consumer market, right? How are soundbars doing there?
Absolutely. North America is still a major player, maybe a bit more mature as a market, but still showing strong growth. It was worth nearly $1.84 billion back in 2021.
Okay.
That's projected to grow to almost $2.5 billion by 2025 and then reach about $4.64 billion by 2033. The KGR there is a solid 8.1%.
So still growing strongly, just maybe not quite the explosive rate we see in parts of Asia Pacific.
Right.
How does it break down within North America? U.S., Canada, Mexico?
Yeah, the U.S. is unsurprisingly the dominant force. It accounted for almost $1.5 billion of that 2021 total.
Right.
And it's expected to reach over $3.7 billion by 2033, maintaining a very consistent 8% CGR.
Okay.
Canada is also showing robust growth.
Mm-hmm.
It started at about $221 million, projected to hit nearly $587 million by 2033. That's actually a slightly higher CGR, 8.5%.
Interesting. And Mexico?
Mexico's growing nicely, too, from about $134 million in 21 up to over $352 million by 2033. That's an 8.3% CGR. So it suggests a mixed, steady upgrades in the U.S., plus strong continued adoption across the continent.
Makes sense. Okay, let's cross the pond. What about Europe? How does the soundbar market look there?
Europe's another significant region. Revenue there was close to $1.5 billion, about $1.47 billion in 2021.
Okay.
And it's projected to grow quite substantially, reaching nearly $3.8 billion by 2033. That represents an 8.4% CAGR, so pretty much in line with North America, maybe slightly higher.
Are there any particular countries standing out in Europe? Any interesting dynamics?
Definitely a few standouts. The UK shows strong growth, moving from about $172 million in 21 to over $458 million projected for 2033. That's an 8.6% CAGR.
Right.
Germany actually shows an even higher growth rate. It started larger at over $260 million and is forecast to hit $720 million by 2033. Its CAGR is notably high for Europe at 8.8%.
So Germany's accelerating a bit faster there.
It seems so, yeah. But you also have significant contributions from others. France, Italy, Russia, Spain, all showing solid growth. CAGR is mostly in the 7 to 8% range and indicates pretty broad adoption across the continent.
Any surprises in Europe?
Well, similar to Asia-Pacific, the rest of Europe category is also quite strong. It shows CAGR of 9.3%. So again, suggesting that many of the other diverse countries across Europe are also really embracing soundbars.
That pattern seems quite consistent then, these rest of categories showing high growth. Okay, where next? South America.
Yes, heading south. South America is another region with really rapid expansion. The sales revenue there was over $355 million in 2021.
Yeah.
And it's projected to more than triple, reaching nearly $1.2 billion by 2033. That's an impressive 8.8% CAGR, slightly higher than Europe or North America.
Wow. Who are the key players driving that in South America?
Brazil is a major contributor. It was over $121 million back in 21, projected to hit over $414 million by 2033. That's an 8.9% CAGR.
Right.
And Colombia is showing particularly sharp growth, actually. It expands from about $28 million to nearly $98 million, with the AGR just shy of 9%, 8.97%.
Very high growth there.
Yeah, it really is. And you see strong contributions from Argentina, Peru, Chile as well, all with CAGRs over 8%. And again, that rest of South America category, it boasts an 8.995% CAGR, almost 9%. It really points to home entertainment becoming a bigger priority as these economies grow.
Okay, that leaves the Middle East and Africa. What's the picture in the Middle East?
The Middle East market grew from about $326 million in 2021 and is projected to reach nearly $787 million by 2033. Now, the CGR here is 7.1%.
So a bit lower than the other regions we've discussed.
Yes, noticeably lower. It's the lowest overall regional CAGR we've seen so far. Still growth, definitely, but at a somewhat slower pace.
Any specific country data for the Middle East?
Sure. Saudi Arabia is the largest market there. It generated over $121 million in 21, reaching about $296 million by 2033. That's a 7% CAGR, pretty much in line with the regional average. Turkey is next, moving from around $78 million to $182 million with a slightly lower 6.9% CAGR. You also have contributions from the UAE, Egypt, Qatar, mostly in that low 7% CAGR range. And interestingly, the rest of the Middle East category here actually recorded the lowest CAGR overall in the entire report at just 6.59%.
Okay, so a different dynamic there compared to the high growth rest of elsewhere. What about Africa?
Finally, Africa. The market there posted just over $216 million in 2021.
Right.
And it's projected to reach nearly $549 million by 2033. That represents a CAGR of 7.8%. So, stronger than the Middle East, but still a bit below the global average. Solid growth, though.
And within Africa, key countries.
Nigeria is a key driver, moving from about $53 million to nearly $138 million, growing at an 8% CAGR, which is slightly above the regional average.
Okay.
South Africa, perhaps a more established market in some ways, grew from over $93 million to about 200.8%. Its CAGR is a bit lower, 7.6%. And the rest of Africa shows growth pretty much in line with the regional average, around 7.8%.
Okay, whew. That's a huge amount of data, region by region, country by country. Thanks for walking us through that. When you step back and look at all of it, what's the big story? What's the most important takeaway for you?
Well, I think what's really striking is just how global this phenomenon is.
Yeah.
We're seeing robust, consistent growth pretty much everywhere. It suggests soundbars are moving from, a niche add-on to something much more central to the home entertainment experience for many people.
Right.
And obviously, Asia-Pacific stands out, not just the sheer size, but that average growth rate driven by giants like China and India, but also that incredibly fast growth in the rest of APAC category.
Yeah.
That 11.4% number is really something.
It really is. It points to rapid catch-up and adoption.
Exactly. But then you also see the varying dynamics, right? You have the steady, strong growth in mature markets like North America and Europe, probably driven by upgrades as much as new buyers. Then you have faster growth, percentage-wise, in developing regions like South America, parts of Africa, driven more by first-time adoption as incomes rise and tech becomes more accessible.
And the Middle East showing a slightly slower but still positive trend.
Precisely. So it paints a picture of different stages of market development, but all contributing to this overall global expansion. The sheer range in those KGRs, from over 11% down to about 6.5%, really highlights how differently this is playing out across the world.
So let's connect this back to our listener. Why should you, listening right now, care about these global soundbar trends? What's the relevance beyond just market numbers?
Well, I think understanding these regional differences tells you a lot about where innovation might focus next, where companies are likely putting their marketing efforts. It shows that even something like a soundbar is part of this huge interconnected global industry.
Right. It's not just about tech specs. It's about global economics and consumer behavior.
Absolutely. It reflects how technology spreads, how consumer spending power evolves across continents. It gives you a sense of the bigger picture in consumer electronics, and maybe even hints at where the next big growth waves in home entertainment might come from.
So our deep dive today has definitely shown a market that's, well, it's booming, set to more than double in value in under a decade. It's clear that this desire for better sound at home isn't just a Western thing or an Asian thing, it's truly global.
Yeah, and it's fascinating how these numbers, which can seem dry in a report, actually tell a story about us, about our preferences, how we want to experience movies, music, games in our own space. It's about that constant push for better home tech.
Definitely. So as you think about these trends, this massive expansion, what does it suggest to you about the future? How might the way we experience sound at home continue to evolve? Thinking about your own setup, how might it change in the next 5, 10 years based on where this market is heading? It's definitely something to think about, isn't it?
Right.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into something fascinating that's happening right in our living rooms, the evolution of the global soundbar market. And believe me, it's way more than just simple audio accessories these days. So our mission today, to unpack the trends, the big shifts driving this change. What makes these soundbars tick now, and what does the future look like? We've been looking at some pretty comprehensive market research, reports like the evolving soundbars market. But just think for a second about your own setup at home. What part do soundbars play? Or maybe what could they do to, really boost that movie night experience?
It's kind of amazing how central they've become, isn't it? And the market's not just like growing steadily. It's really robust expansion we're seeing. Fundamentally, it boils down to two main things, I'd say. The huge wave of smart TV adoption, first off, and then the absolute explosion in streaming content. Consumers are now, well, they're actively looking for that cinematic sound feel at home. And soundbars, they're just perfectly placed to deliver it.
Yeah, let's dig into that growth because it definitely didn't happen by accident.
Yeah.
The smart TV revolution. I mean, that has to be one of the biggest pieces, right? You look around and it's all these amazing high-def smart TVs. We're talking 4K, even 8K is popping up now, OLED, QLED panels. The picture quality is just stunning. So when your eyes are getting that kind of feast, doesn't it just make you crave audio that can actually keep up? That matches it.
Oh, absolutely. It creates a natural demand, and that demand slots right in with the huge streaming boom. Netflix, Disney Plus, Prime Video, Hulu, Max.
Yeah.
All of them. They've completely changed how we watch stuff, and especially after the pandemic, people are spending way more time entertaining themselves at home. So for that really immersive feel, high-quality audio isn't just a bonus anymore. It's basically essential. Yeah. Non-negotiable for many.
And this is where the soundbar story gets really interesting, I think. The tech side, the advancements inside the soundbars themselves. They've come such a long way from just being basic speakers. Now you've got features like Dolby Atmos and DTSX. And that's not just surround sound, is it? It's more like 3D audio.
Exactly. Object-based audio. It creates this sort of dome of sound around you. Really immersive.
Wow.
Then you have AI doing sound optimization, actually tuning the audio to your specific room.
Seriously, it listens to the room.
Yeah, using microphones and then integrated voice assistants, Alexa, Google Assistant, plus all the wireless connectivity. It's like the soundbar is turning into this smart hub for your living room audio.
It really is.
And manufacturers are jumping on this. Look at PPV technology, for instance. They launched that Philips TAB8967 soundbar in India. It's a 5.1.2 channel Dolby Atmos bar.
Yeah.
And they were pretty clear it was aimed right at that booming demand for OTT, streaming content.
Okay, break that down quickly. 5.1.2. What does that mean in practice?
Right, so 5 main channels, front, left, center, front, right, and 2 surrounds. Then the point 1 is the subwoofer for the bass, and the point 2, that's 2 upward firing channels. They bounce sound off your ceiling to create that overhead Atmos effect. Height.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
And it doesn't stop there. We're seeing even more cutting-edge stuff now. 360-degree spatial audio concepts, HDMI ARC, which is huge for simplifying connections. Just one cable handles audio both ways between the TV and the bar.
Oh, that's the audio return channel thing. Yeah, that cleans things up.
Exactly. And multi-room systems are becoming common, too. Yeah. I'll ties the sound bar into that bigger picture of the connected smart home.
And if we zoom out a bit, there are bigger economic things happening too, right? Socioeconomic shifts.
Definitely. Things like rising disposable income, especially in emerging economies, and just more urbanization generally. People have a bit more money, they're living in cities, and they're willing to invest more in, well, premium home entertainment.
Right, upgrading the living room experience.
Precisely. You look at China, for example. Their per capita disposable income hit over 41,000 yuan in 2024. That's, around $5,600, $5,700?
Wow.
And that's almost double what it was back in 2015. It shows this clear move towards, premium products, things that enhance your lifestyle. People see their homes differently now, and soundbars fit right into that narrative of making your home a better, more enjoyable space.
Okay, so we've got this picture of amazing growth, incredible tech, but it can't all be smooth sailing. Every market has its challenges. What's the biggest hurdle holding soundbars back from even wider adoption, would you say?
I think, without a doubt, it's the cost. That's the main one. I mean, the technology is fantastic, but those really advanced soundbars, the ones with Dolby Atmos, DTSX, spatial audio, they carry a pretty significant price tag. And that's just a major barrier for a lot of people, a substantial chunk of the market.
And what actually drives that high cost? Is it just paying for the fancy features, or is there more to it?
Well, it's sort of a mix. You've got the high-quality materials needed, obviously.
Yeah.
Then the processors inside have to be pretty sophisticated to handle all that complex audio processing, like for Atmos. And yeah, there's also the R&D investment, the premium branding. It all adds up.
You see it in the prices?
Absolutely. Like Sony just launched their new Bravia Theater Bar 8 and Bar 9 in India, and the prices are roughly Rs $89,990 and Rs $1,029,990. That's over $1,000 and maybe $1,500 US.
Yeah, that's definitely premium.
Exactly. So while the experience is probably incredible, those prices really limit them to a pretty niche, more affluent audience.
That's a serious investment for many households, which makes me wonder, are there other ways to get good sound, like alternative solutions that might offer something similar, maybe cheaper, and challenge the sound bars?
That's a really good point. And yes, there are. You've got traditional home theater systems, with separate speakers and an AV receiver. They can sound amazing.
Though maybe more complicated to set up.
Often, yes. More wires, more components. But some people prefer that. And then you even have things like high-end headphones or those really advanced earbuds now that offer spatial audio. Sometimes they can give you a comparable or at least a very immersive experience, maybe for less money.
Interesting.
So yeah, especially in places where price is a really big factor, consumers might look at those alternatives. They might choose a setup that delivers good sound quality without maybe all the bells and whistles of the most expensive soundbars. It's always that balance, isn't it? Innovation versus affordability.
Right. But, okay, despite those cost issues and the alternatives, there are some really exciting opportunities popping up, too, especially with wireless smart homes and all these IoT devices becoming so common. It feels like that's tailor-made for soundbars now.
Oh, absolutely. It's a perfect fit. People increasingly want, less clutter. They want connected devices that just work together seamlessly. They want integration with their smart TVs, their phones, their whole home ecosystem. They're definitely leaning towards simplicity, elegant design, convenience, not, a mess of wires or complex setups.
Yeah, nobody wants the tangle of cables anymore.
Exactly. And this trend plays right into what modern soundbars offer.
And you see brands really leaning into this. Sonos is a great example, right? They've been brilliant at making their Wi-Fi soundbars work not just with the TV, but also linking up with their smart speakers.
Yeah.
So you get that multi-room audio, voice control, the whole connected experience.
Yeah, precisely. Sonos really nailed that ecosystem approach early on. And looking ahead, with AI getting smarter, 5G rolling out, providing faster connectivity, and IoT just getting deeper and deeper into our homes, soundbars are just incredibly well positioned to become even more central. They're moving beyond just being audio output devices. They're becoming these integral components of the whole smart entertainment system, maybe even managing parts of the smart home experience.
Quite a shift.
It's a remarkable trajectory, yeah.
So wrapping things up, what does this all mean for us, the people actually listening at home? We've kind of journeyed through this really dynamic soundbar market today. We've seen the explosive growth, the amazing tech jumps. We've talked about the hurdles like cost, but also these really exciting future possibilities with smart homes. It seems clear they're not just an add-on anymore. They're becoming pretty fundamental to how we experience movies, music, everything at home.
Yeah, they really are. And maybe here's a final thought for you to chew on, thinking about your own setup. Will sound bars, as they keep evolving and integrating so smoothly into our smart homes, will they ultimately redefine what we even think of as a home theater? Could they maybe make those complex multi-speaker setups feel kind of old-fashioned for most people? Or will they always be this sort of sophisticated but maybe more accessible alternative, constantly trying to balance that cutting-edge innovation with the real-world challenge of affordability? As you chase that perfect cinematic sound, what role do you really see them playing down the line in the future of how we entertain ourselves at home?